Welcome to the Dream Journal. From the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, the Dream Journal is a weekly show where we explore the power of nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with listeners like you.
The life you find is something understood. So there's now those vital minutes. Time is keenly found. We are not alone. Water over stone, even if you're by yourself.
Today's music is called The Shortest Day, featuring the vocal stylings of Amy Barnes. What is sacredness, and how can I find more of it in my life? Rodger Kamenetz teaches us a spiritual practice that leads us toward a deeper experience of life. His latest book is Seeing into the Life of Things, Imagination, and the Sacred Encounter. A dream about there was just some creatures in it that were they were kind of ocean creatures like elephant seals, or but they were bigger and they were kind of a little more angular, and they were at the edge of a rocky cliff where the road was very narrow, and I was driving along, and I pulled over to the side even though I couldn't get all the way off the road, and there was something kind of crowding me as I think about it now. I didn't think about it this morning. I was saying it out loud. I'm thinking about that there's something kind of crowding me into the water, maybe to be with these big creatures. So I'm mulling over what that might be all about. They were like almost as big as walruses, but they had like front fins. They had like little legs, back fins. I'm sure there's words for all these features, but there was just something coming out of the water, something under in the subconscious, something underground, underwater, that seemed to be kind of calling to me, and I was fascinated by these creatures. Rodger Kamenetz founded Natural Dreamwork, an international group of 20 Dreamwork practitioners. His 16 books of poetry and prose include The History of Last Night's Dream, featured on Oprah Winfrey's Soul series, and The Jew in the Lotus, an international bestseller. His new book is called Seeing into the Life of Things, Imagination, and the Sacred Encounter. Rodger Kamenetz, so good to have you on the show.
Hi, Catherine. So nice to be with you again.
Excellent. Yeah. So your book, the History of Last Night's Dream, was really kind of a game changer for me in my personal evolution of Dreamwork. It really opened me up to the different levels of dreams and how they were nudging me along in some way that was going to be beneficial to me. But it's been 18 years since you wrote that book. Yeah,
Since it was published, yeah, even more.
yeah, even more, exactly. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you've learned since writing that book, because you have this whole new book, Seeing into the Life of Things, that has a very different approach to images and working with images. Well, it's not very different. It's just evolved. And I wonder if you could like
Yeah,
highlight some of
I
the
think,
changes.
sure. Well, I mean, I think, yeah, mainly having had the opportunity to work with so many clients one-on-one over these past, many, many years since I wrote that book, I think that, yeah, I just have come to appreciate more clearly the power of images to bring us to feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also um, trying to put a natural dream work into a natural settings, which would
Mm,
include how images, we might call the appearance or phenomenology of images in our everyday life. So, that comes down to what we receive as images through all of our senses,
mm,
um, perception in short, um,
right.
what we receive from images in memory, especially certain kinds of memories that are particularly powerful,
Mm-hmm.
and what we perceive from images in dreams.
Mm.
So that's the context I'm presenting it in now. And I think my main goal is to help me, first of all,
Right,
and
right.
help.
Comes down to that always, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I don't want to teach anything I haven't learned myself, but I want to help people break down the barrier between um, dreams and waking life, and also come to understand how important imagination, which we experience in dreams, and we tend to segregate that into dreams, and then we lose the fact that imagination plays a huge role in memory
mm,
and in perception.
mm.
So that imagination, what we call dream imagination, is actually with us at all times, and is how we can come to understand the world in a more unified way.
Right. Okay. So you're talking about these images, like when when I'm getting ready to go somewhere, I might kind of think about the route in my mind of like the roads I'm going to go on. That's one kind of imagination. There's also like remembering something tender or from the past, or even something difficult. There's also the just looking out at a landscape, which can have a certain feeling quality. So you're talking about like the feeling qualities that go with these images. Is that right?
Well, generally, what I'm talking about is that um, when we learn to slow down in waking life and actually give a few extra moments to our engagement with the world, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's a natural world or just a world of people or both,
Mm.
and take the time to feel our experience, we have a different experience. So for me, the example I give in the book, for instance, is talking about walking down my street here. I live in New Orleans in the neighborhood called Bywater, and walking down and just being taken with a small weed that was growing out of the sidewalk, and just spending time gazing at it, really feeling into it, and then that becomes a much deeper, more felt experience. Um, so a lot of that is in the natural world, but it's also in the human world. And it's something I learned to do when I work with dreams, and you're probably familiar with this as well, that instead of seeing a dream as a story, I see it as a series of moments of encounter. And I often will stop the tape, so to speak, as we, remount the dream or recollect the dream, collect it again together, and ask people to stop at images and ask them, well, what are you feeling in the presence of this, um, you know, being? Maybe it's someone you love, maybe it's someone you don't know, but seems to have mysterious qualities. What do you feel in the encounter? So borrowing from that practice, what we say natural dream work is we don't interpret dreams, we bring them to life.
Mm.
And so I want to bring that practice of imaginative engagement into my waking life and also into my contemplation of memory.
Hmm.
And so that's really, um, you know, the impetus in a way for writing this book, um, to help, you might say, domesticate the dream, to understand that dreams are something we're doing all the time,
Hmm.
but we're not conscious of it. Um, and then, yeah, so that's one piece. I
Right.
could go on.
Oh no,
I don't know.
that's great. I mean, that's really important. I mean, just that phrase, we don't interpret dreams, we bring them to life. Like, and by
Right.
focusing on the images, and you mentioned a flower or kind of a weed, I think you even said. Um,
Yes.
yeah, there's something in the book you call biophilia, which is like the love of life. Like the if bio is life and philia is love, like to be attracted toward things that are alive. And there is
Yeah.
something about that I'm curious if you want to say just a few words about that in the context of dreams and also in waking life.
Sure. So the term, that I learned it from the great biologist Edward O. Wilson, E.O. Wilson, who is both an important scientist and a Pulitzer Prize winning nonfiction author. And he's kind of from down my area. He's from the Gulf Coast of Alabama originally. So biophilia, biophilia, the love of living things, meaning that as human beings, we're naturally attracted to what's alive.
Hmm.
And he believes, although it's not proven, but he supposes that this is passed on genetically, that human beings have a natural love for living things, and that this is something that benefits us and therefore gets passed on from generation to generation. Um, I also talk about the biophilia in dreams because, as you know, often in dreams, certain animals appear, and so that's one level of it, that, snakes and spiders and
Hmm.
lions and tigers, even animals we wouldn't ordinarily see, they seem to appear in our dreams and carry a great deal of feeling in the encounter. Um,
Right. Well,
so,
while we were getting
yeah.
you on the show, I shared a dream about a kind of a elephant seal or something, some kind of big sea mammal coming out of the water. That a dream that I had this morning, actually, and just the
Mhm.
fascination of this animal. I could see them swimming in the water. There was quite a few of them, and then one of them came up on the shore, and it was really arresting image. There is something really striking about animals and dreams.
Well, and then where the two theories, so what I would call biophilia and dreams, that we're drawn to living things, they evoke great emotion, but
Yes.
only if we allow ourselves to feel them, then they come to life. If we are in a reactive state of mind, uh, or if we're preoccupied with the next place we're going to, then we don't have the encounter. So
Mm.
I speak of I speak of this in the context of what I call the sacred encounter in dreams.
Hmm.
So, for instance, um, if I had a client who dreamed that a lion, well, he was on a hike with some other people, and they saw lions in the distance, so they huddled together.
Hmm.
And then a lion, while they were huddling, this lion approached him and breathed on his face. And so there he felt this primordial terror and awe and reverence all in one moment. It's kind of I use a musical analogy. It's a harmonic of feelings, like a chord, where fear's in there and awe's in there and reverence is in there and terror is in there.
Uh-huh.
They're all vibrating in that moment. So I would call that a sacred encounter because it's a sense of awe and reverence that emerges. Um, on the other hand, I had another client, and a lion appeared at her house, and she somehow managed to shut it inside her laundry room,
Huh.
which is no way to treat a lion. And so the lion, which had appeared, made all the effort to come to her dream, was being subordinated to her everyday household life, you might say. And so she missed the sacred encounter. And
Mm.
unfortunately, it's true in waking life as well, that I believe every day there are moments of blessing or sacredness,
Mm-hmm.
but that we are too busy. We're on our way somewhere else, or we have a shopping list in mind, or who knows what, but we don't take the extra moments to take in what's beautiful or terrifying or wonderful or wondrous or painful in
Mm.
our lives. We don't feel our lives. And so um, there's a tremendous loss there. I think dreams can help us appreciate this, but my goal is to get people to move from the dream and learn from the dream how to be with images and then bring that into waking life.
Hmm. So you see, there's like a particular kind of a practice around this that you talk about. I wonder if you want to say a little bit more about this practice?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's called I call it the blessing practice, and
Okay.
I have instructions actually on a website called howimagesheal.com if you want to get the complete instruction. But the basic of it, and of course it's in the book, but the basic of it is simply each morning to remember 3 moments of encounter that you had the previous day where you felt moved, where you felt a feeling. And it could be of wonder or beauty or even danger and terror, but something that stirred your heart and that I would count as a blessing because it makes me feel alive.
Mm.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be a happy thing.
Mm.
It has to be a strong moment, a moment of strong feeling. And that we accumulate these and count them by we don't just, we take a moment to remount them, to reimagine them, to visualize them using the dream, the imaginative or dream senses. We close our eyes and really remember the moment. So, in the book, I describe so many of these, but, I'll give an example that one of the blessings I counted. I have a grandson he was about 2 when I was writing this, and um, I put some toast in the toaster, and I noticed that he was looking at the toaster. So I started looking at it, and we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and then up, up it popped, and there's such a smile on his face. Like for him, it was like the first time, and then for me, in a way, it was also the first time.
Yeah.
So I would call that Abraham Joshua Heschel calls it radical amazement. To be able to be in radical amazement is a holy place in
Mm.
our lives, and we can have it as simply as that.
Mm.
In fact, my grandson Boaz is a great teacher in my book. Like he's teaching me how to slow down and feel my life instead of hurrying on to the next task.
Yeah, we're always in a hurry, aren't we? At least I sure am. This is a big part of modern life, or certainly of my life.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my daughter Anya was interviewing me about this, and she's, I think closer to your age, and she was saying, "Yeah, Dad, you're retired, so you can take time to, gaze at weeds and watch Boaz, but I'm too busy." And I said, I don't believe that. I
Yeah.
think it only takes a few extra moments to feel the moment instead of simply registering it.
Mm.
It doesn't take that much extra time.
Mm.
We have plenty of time to do this. We just have to stop and feel, which, by the way, is the same technique I use to bring dreams to life. Just, okay, well, let's stop at that moment when the lion's breathing on your face and feel it,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Um, or let's go to the moment in the other person's dream where, you have this lion in your yard, but before you get this idea of shoving it in your laundry room, just spend a moment with the lion and feel it.
Mm.
And if we're lucky, we get to a deep feeling.
Right. Well,
So,
even once the
yeah.
lion's in the laundry room, I might tune into the sadness of caging up this magnificent beast. There might be a sense of sadness that
Well,
could
that's
be
true.
sacred.
That's
Right.
true.
Mm.
Absolutely. That would be a good way to work it. I remember one of my clients dreamed once she was in a grocery store and she saw uh, cans and there's a picture of a tiger on them. It was canned tiger.
Oh.
And she just wept. I mean, it was just
Oh.
so terrible.
Yeah.
And, really that kind of image really can touch into our loss. So I agree with you. That might have been a good way to work it. But,
Mm.
and that's certainly what I surmised about it, but we got to that in different ways. But yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
and working with everybody's an individual. Every moment is unique, and maybe there's different ways in. And this is something that we were talking a little bit about, is letting people have their own path, and kind of trusting the
Sure.
dreamers, and trusting the terminology that they choose, and the things that they're pay attention to. Like those 3 moments of the blessing practice may be radically different for each person, and trusting that that's what they need is.
Yes, I mean, I think at first when people do the practice, they tend to lean into moments of joy,
Hmm.
moments of beauty. Um, and it's only after a while, after learning, expanding our idea of what a blessing is, that the harder moments might enter in as also moments of deep feeling. To me, it's the deeper feeling that counts. But same is true with our dreams.
Hmm.
If people are looking only for the good stuff, so to speak, oh, I liken it to like a piano has 88 keys and some are white and some are black. And if you say, well, I don't want to feel terror, you've eliminated a bunch of the keys, maybe all the black keys.
Hmm.
If you don't want to feel pain or sadness, you limited the low keys. You really can't play very well if you dampen all the keys. And so we need all of our feelings. Um,
Hmm.
but to do that, Catherine, I
Yeah.
think, and this is the piece maybe I would want to add, is that I feel it's important to distinguish a feeling from a reaction, because I think in the kind of sloppiness of language, people don't really distinguish. They think any emotionality is a feeling, and I understand that, but I use it in a special sense, and I distinguish between feeling, which is in the moment, is very present in kind of whole body, and reaction, which almost always involves a story and often involves either the future or the past, and certainly often involves the ego.
Mm.
So one of the things, so not all imagination is of the same quality. Um, the poet William Wordsworth talks about this. He talks about impaired imagination.
Hmm.
He became very lifeless and full of despair after he had to leave his partner and their child. They were in France, and he had to go back to England. And he lost all hope and things to hope for, he said. But instead of diagnosing it the way we might as depression, he called it impaired imagination, which
Mm.
I think is a really cool way of thinking about it. Um, so we have imagination and we have impaired imagination.
Hmm.
And when we look at a dream, I view imagination as what the dream presents all on its own, the events in the dream. And I view impaired imagination as the story that the dream point of view tells itself about the events. And that's very helpful over time. People can learn to distinguish what was an actual event in your dream that you perceived through your dream senses. Like you felt a lion breathing on you. That's an event.
Hmm.
And what was something in your mind about it? I don't know, an interpretation, you might say, of the event, which is very different. So I think it's important to distinguish genuine, deep feeling from um, a story made up and added to the moment, which is what I would call impaired imagination.
Right. And I've noticed in dreams there can be an event, a kind of a moment, but then once I come in with my interpretation, like in the dream, like in the middle of the dream, I might have some thought, oh,
Right.
that means that so and so's a murderer or something. And then sometimes the dream will
Exactly.
just go south at that point, and it spirals off into frustration or something.
Right. So when I work with people who do that, I go to the moment of feeling
Hmm.
and stay there. I do it. I call, I stop the dream. I do what we call Shabbat, right? We stop in this moment and dwell in it, and then it deepens. And yeah, I don't want to necessarily focus too much on the turning away. Um, you know, th- some people are capable of just staying in the feeling, and God bless them, and some people, and I'm probably one of them, tend to wander off into speculation and thinking and interpretation inside the dream. And I think the dream is calling, I believe the dream is calling on us to feel with more imagination rather than interpret with the intellect.
It's so different from the way that we're educated, that we're supposed to interpret things. I'm a scientist, and you're a poet and a professor, and so we are both trained to use our minds and to analyze and interpret. And yet, this dream work, and also even just using waking life experiences too, like your experience
Right.
of looking at this plant, is kind of unwinding of that, of getting back to that delight of the toaster popping up.
Right. Rilke has a great line in his Duino elegy. He says that the animals feel sorry for us because we live in an interpreted world.
Mm.
I think the animals do feel sorry for us sometimes. Um,
Uh,
so how can we live a life of full imagination? The dreams are obviously, I mean, I think you and I both share this fascination with the way that dreams erupt into our consciousness and bring something we never would have thought of ourselves, and sometimes bring beings who speak with such wisdom and beauty. Um, but in waking life, we immediately often revert to reason and practice and a kind of egocentric view, like what's in it for me,
mhm.
or you know, interpreting the world from the point of view of what benefits the ego or hurts the ego.
Okay, now we've
Um,
heard this word ego a few times, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like I'm interrupting a little here, and yet I want to clarify,
no
what is
worries.
this term about? What is that mean to
Well, that's a good
benefit the
question.
ego?
I mean, obviously, Freud is the guy who kind of brought ego into the discussion. It's simply the Latin word for I,
Oh, okay.
and it is simply the Latin word for it, by the way.
Oh,
But, but so he was a rationalist. He was in the tradition of Locke and rationalist thinking. So he viewed the ego as a kind of arbiter of experience, like ego is central to how we understand the world. In my view, that makes our dreams seem weird. In other words, if we center on the ego in the dream, because there's a dream ego also, right? There's
hmm.
a dream point of view that might be an ego. Um, we distort the dream for our own purposes and we impair the dream. I would like us to move from ego through this process I call the great opening to soul. Then when we're centered on soul, that is on the depth of feeling and the essence of who we are, then the dream is no longer seems weird or eccentric. The ego is what makes the dream off-center. But if we find the moments of soul in the dream, which arise through feeling deeply, the dream suddenly makes a lot more sense. It comes together in a much more powerful way.
Can you give an example of that?
Oh yeah. Well, in the book I cite two dreams about eggs,
Uh-huh.
um, and part of that was kind of transitioning to this biophilia because an egg is kind of a thing and it's also a living thing at the same time.
Right.
So one client, she wasn't a client, she was at a workshop and uh, she was digging up, she was on an Easter egg hunt and she was digging underground. She couldn't find any eggs and then she dug underground and she found a glowing egg, glowing with light, and she said she felt awe.
Hmm.
She felt awe. It was awesome. Very simple dream,
Hmm.
all feeling. I asked her about it, and she said that she had spina bifida as a child, and she couldn't participate in Easter egg hunts or a lot of other activities. So the dream was also powerful in giving her a feeling, an experience that she didn't actually have in waking life. And she felt it so deeply.
Hmm.
Well, it so happens I had another client, and she was sitting on a stool with someone else, and a chicken came out and laid an enormous egg. It was like the size of an ostrich egg. And she was just in wonder. She was like, wow. She was moved, just like the first person. But then she started thinking, like
Hmm.
she thought, oh, what should I do with it? How can I take it home? It's so fragile. Maybe I should cook it. Maybe I should eat it. I don't know. She went on and on and on, spinning around, trying to figure out what I, the dream I, should do with it, not seeing that the egg itself was the gift and didn't need her to do anything except feel. So maybe that gives you some sense of the interference pattern of the ego, in my view, wants to possess experience for itself. But when ego fades out, and I think this happens in dreams, it softens over time and becomes more permeable, then there's no longer an I and an it. We're all kind of here together. And that's what I call the great opening. When, what Wordsworth says, with an eye made quiet by the power of harmony and the deep power of joy, we see into the life of things. That's where I got my title. But also describes the process where the I, he means EYE, of course, can be made quiet, no longer has all this story making going on, but also the I would say the capital I, also made quiet, subordinating itself and being more receptive and realizing that there's a lot of me in what I see in a dream. There's a lot of what I see in a dream in me.
That's beautiful. So, Rodger, we need to take a short break, and we're going to come back. This is Rodger Kamenetz, and we're talking about his new book, Seeing into the Life of Things, Imagination and the Sacred Encounter, and the practices that we can use in our everyday life as well as with our dreams in order to connect down and get a deeper experience of the sacredness of life. And Rodger, can you tell us some web pages where we can reach you at?
Well, my last name is KAMENETZ.com.
Yeah.
My colleagues at Natural Dreamwork, we have a website called thenaturaldream.com, and there's lots of useful stuff on there too.
Great. Thank you so much. So we are broadcast live from the KSQD studios in Santa Cruz and co-broadcast live in San Jose by KCXU and podcast everywhere. We'll be right back. All right. You are listening to the Dream Journal, and I am Catherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork. I'd like to send out a special welcome to our far-flung listeners. We have them all from all over California today. Wow, up and down California, Whittier, the Citrus Heights, Sacramento, Pleasanton. Then we have Victoria, British Columbia, Surrey, British Columbia, Hawaii, Ashburn, Virginia, Wilmington, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Quebec, and in Hungary. A truly international show today. And you can help to nudge the algorithm to help spread interest in dreaming. Please follow the Dream Journal on your favorite podcast app. And if you're inspired, please leave us a rating or a review. It helps more than you know. Or you can share an episode on your social media feed. But most importantly, tell your friends. The mission of the show is to get people talking about dreaming. You can tell them about this podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook to find out about upcoming shows and pod drops. Follow hashtag The Dream Journal and at Experiential Dreamwork. And next week, we will start the New Year's by welcoming Katrina Dreamer, who will be talking about social justice dreaming and how we can start to dream up the kind of world we'd like to live in. Today's guest is Rodger Kamenetz of Natural Dreamwork, and we are talking about the sacred dream and seeing into the life of things. So I believe we have Kat on the line right now. Would you like to say hello?
Yes.
Hi,
Can
Kat.
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Hi.
you. Great. Thanks so much for calling.
Oh, you're welcome. This is a great show. I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, good.
And Roger, yeah, I wanted to let you know I'm reading your book, Seeing into the Life of Things. It's super great. I'm actually getting started on my second reading now because there's so much in there um, to take in. So I'm really, really enjoying that. But I wanted to ask you about the blessing practice. It's a great way to start the day. I've been following it myself, but I have a question that kind of relates to something you were talking about a little earlier. Sometimes when I'm thinking about some of the things that happened yesterday, which you suggest that we do in the practice, something comes up that is could be very difficult. That I sometimes get a little confused, like, oh, is this going to be helpful for me to contemplate this, or should I try to just go back to some of the other more pleasant images? And I just like a little bit of advice on that.
Well, thank you, Kat, and thanks for reading the book. I'm also rereading it. I'm also remembering it and finding things in it. I mean, it sounds
Yeah, yeah,
it
there's a
is a
lot.
lot. It's pretty rich for me too. To remind me of things I thought, and a lot of people have thought.
Sure, yeah.
Um, so I think that's a great question. Yeah, the practice is for you. You're not for the practice. In other words, if there's
Right,
something you're remembering that you just, I don't, doesn't feel right, then you don't have to remember it in that practice. I mean, you may want to dwell on it. If it's genuinely a feeling, and you're certain
mm-hmm.
that, oh, this is a moment of pain, for instance, maybe somebody said something to me and I didn't react with anger or blame. I just took the
Yeah,
hit. I felt the pain. To me,
mm,
that's a moment worth remembering because, first of all, it's a moment of feeling. And it's also a moment where you overcame the natural tendency to be reactive that we all have and just allowed yourself to feel, even though what you felt was unpleasant. And
right.
I think it's a good
Yeah,
practice.
well, I can give you the example, and I guess I'm a little bit confused as to if I was really feeling a strong feeling or more a reaction. It was, for example, a recent thing where there were two people arguing and I was witnessing this and I just felt like a big pressure inside of me.
Mm,
And I, yeah, so that one I was feeling a little bit, I wasn't sure kind of what to do with that
but
experience.
you had an impulse to remember it. That's one of your blessings. Like somewhere you felt
That's right.
maybe,
Yeah,
oh,
right.
yeah. I had a feeling about it, but I think more importantly, if you reflect on it, well, gee, why did I want to remember that? You weren't
Right.
reacting, but you were being what I would call a sensitive human being, and you felt something internally about what you were witnessing,
Right.
as
Right.
opposed to not feeling, turning away, or being numb. So could we be thankful that we're sensitive enough to feel our lives instead of just
Mm,
like trying to shut down around anything unpleasant?
yeah,
There's so much there, I think, really.
I know. Right. I appreciate that. And I guess I'm thinking also about like doing this practice as to kind of let go of some of the reactivity from daily life that's so inherent in our present society. I feel it's just everywhere, so much reactivity.
Right.
And then I'm thinking, well, oh gosh, and then I have that in my some kind of thing coming up inside myself. Is that going to be helpful to dwell on that?
Right. That's so interesting. Yeah, and where's that come from? What's that about? But one of the things that guided me, because in this book I'm really drawing on my own tradition, Jewish tradition, but also on Buddhist teachers and really on great romantic poets and biologists and Einstein. I mean, I'm really open
Yeah,
to everything.
yeah. There's a
Um,
lot of
it's
that.
not exclusive, but there was a teacher. He was called the Master of the Good Name, or the Baal Shem Tov, who um, said something like this: that if something happened, like happened to you, where you witnessed people arguing, I guess in was it sort of a violent way or a nasty or like what was the
No,
quality of it?
it wasn't really not violent. It was more subtle than that. But
Okay.
I am really sensitive. I can pick up on things.
It was unpleasant in some way.
Yeah.
Like
Impl-
he would ask himself, instead of saying, you know, rejecting it or saying, look at those people, then I'm so much better than they or whatever, the ego. He said, why am I being shown this?
Mm.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
And that's such
yeah.
a deepening question that whatever happens in our life, we can take it as something, not something, like if, let's say we see a person who um, is breaking a rule that they're not supposed to break, like
Yeah.
I don't know, they're driving through a stop sign. And we see that and we can think, oh, that's so-and-so, what an idiot, blah, blah, blah. We can get into a reaction. Or we can think, well, why was I given to see this? In what way do I break rules? What rules have I broken lately that I shouldn't have? That's what I'm saying, so that
Yeah.
whatever we see
Mm-hmm.
in a dream or in waking life could be, whatever we see in waking life could be read as deeply as we read moments in dreams.
That's what I was just going to say. It's almost like we can see the moments in our waking life as if they're a dream moment.
Well, that's the weird thing, isn't it? That
Yeah.
everyone assumes that dreams are meaningful. Right?
Yeah. Right.
But we don't assume that waking life is meaningful. It's all coincidence.
Yeah.
Everything's an accident. I don't know the answer to that, but I can be guided to think, if I start thinking in the way this holy teacher thought, then my life becomes more meaningful, because instead of blaming other people or condemning other people for acting in the quote wrong way, I can use it as a prompt to investigate, well, I must be reacting to this for a reason.
Right.
So it must have something to do with me.
Yeah. Well, that's really helpful. Just even this idea of just looking at it a little as it's there for me. It's showing me something,
Right.
and not just trying to reject it because it feels uncomfortable.
That's
Yeah,
so
I
cool.
mean, once a psychologist in radio said to me, not Catherine, but someone else said, our problem is we have feelings we don't want to feel. It's so true. And
Right. There you
most
go.
of our feelings are that we don't want to feel. It could be pain or terror or disgust. We don't want to feel those feelings. We want to, like I was saying to Catherine before, we want to eliminate certain keys from the piano, but they all make a harmony. They all belong together.
Yeah. They're all part of being this human being. Right.
Wow, thank you, Kat. This is
Wow. Thank you so
interesting.
much.
The idea of bringing
really helpful.
meaningfulness into waking life. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Kat.
All right. Take care. So
Thank you.
thank you so much, Kat. That was lovely.
Bye-bye.
So we have a question here in the room. I want to hear from Max in the room.
So anyway, I've got a little question about, you must have worked up a model somehow of how you can bring in your dream methods or feelings or whatever it is, or approach to real life. Do you think that we're maybe dreaming under our consciousness when we're awake?
Yes. It's funny. Is it Mac or Matt?
Max.
Max. Oh,
Yeah.
that's even better. Okay, so I would say all of these experiences are real. Dream experiences are real, and we wake up sobbing because we saw a person who died and we missed them, or our feelings are real, so they're real. But I understand your point. That I would say waking life offers us opportunities to feel, and dreams give us a chance to feel with imagination. Wordsworth has this great line. He says, all the world of eye and ear, meaning the world of the senses, right? Then he says, both what we perceive, no, but both what we half create and perceive. So he says, everything we see, we're also half creating. I think he's right. I think he's right to say that we're using our imagination without realizing it all the time. When I like this example may sound funny, but like let's say Max, I'm talking to you face to face, right? I assume that you have a back to your head, but I don't see it, right? So I'm filling it in with imagination. I'm imagining you have a back to your head. Now, I'm certainly not perceiving it with my eyes. All I see is the front. So I know it sounds a little silly, but I think we're doing that all the time. So it's really using my imagination more consciously when I'm awake helps me participate in my world, be more part of my experience. I don't know, just this morning I was driving behind this really strange looking truck. It was a van. It was kind of roundish and white and had no windows and no on the back or the side. It kind of gave me the creeps, I have to say. And then I wondered about that. And then I thought, well, what is this like? I thought, oh, well, it's sort of like a marshmallow on wheels. Okay. So I was using imagination, obviously. But then I thought, but what is it like in me? Right? What is it like in me? And I was thinking, oh, do I drive around blindly? Do I kind of like ignore what's around me because I'm so busy trying to get to the next place? And suddenly, bam, like this truck was just sort of driving in front of me helped me understand something of how I often am in myself.
That's
Okay.
interesting. How about that?
Well, that dream you had, that waking life experience you had with the weed growing out of the sidewalk, it sort of drew you down into itself like you would in a dream. I'm sure everybody has a few memories like that of waking life encounters.
Absolutely, we all do, and really, I was the one to ask you someone like, what's a memory you have like that spot of time, and she described when she was a little girl, and there was this German Shepherd, and she was a little afraid of it, and he put his mouth around her hand and drew the glove off. Wow, what an amazing moment. My point is, we can have more such moments. I ask my people to remember 3 a day. We can have more of them if we pay more attention and we focus in than we often realize. Sometimes we just wait for things to hit us on the head, but what if I extend myself imaginatively into my world and into feeling other people, by the way?
I love that.
Feeling what's in their voice, feeling what's in their face, instead of just saying, oh, well, you're my clerk at the grocery store. I don't have to feel you. You know what I'm saying? We can have more relationship with others by feeling them. I hope is that imagination or empathy, or am I projecting in, or am I receiving? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love this.
This is my life.
Rodger, I just want to jump in because I have another caller and we only have a few minutes left in the show, but I just want to say hello to Donna, to spend one moment with Donna. I love how you're talking about bringing that sacredness into every moment of life. And let's just say hello to Donna.
Hi,
Hi, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, thanks for calling. We have just a moment or two left, but I wondered if you have something you'd like to add to the conversation.
Well, I love everything that's been said, and thank you so much for taking the call. It's kind of the same spinning in a different direction. This idea of the value of fear, like what would you say? Thank you, Rodger, for everything that you've shared so far.
what would you say to someone who says, why would I want to feel fear? I feel it 24/7 with life the way it is now. Yeah. How
Great
could that?
question, Donna. Thank
Yeah.
you. What do you,
That is
Raj?
great, Donna. Thanks for that question. Okay, so our vocabulary for feeling is extremely weak. And that's one reason I like to read poetry and I like to look at dreams because it enriches our vocabulary. Um, Maybe the person is feeling fear, but I suspect what they call fear is actually anxiety, and that's a little different.
Mm.
Anxiety always involves a story about well, what's going to happen next. And, people are reacting uh, all the time to our current political situation, and they hear some news, and then they extrapolate, like they start projecting, like if this happened, then what might happen next, and they project all kinds of ideas. Some of them may be true. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying they're not really feeling fear so much as they're creating through impaired imagination anxiety for themselves, and it goes off in all sorts of directions. So I don't know, of course, the person Don is talking to. Maybe the person, poor soul, really is afraid all the time, in the real sense, like a lion breathing on your face. But I kind of wonder if it isn't really anxiety, which is a reactive emotion rather than a feeling.
We could have a whole hour conversation about this, Roger. This is something I'm really passionate about, these differences, and the fear is layers. I mean, there is fear, and the anxiety can be all entangled together. And how do you sort that out? Well, I guess the dream is part of it, but I'm afraid to say that I'm going to need to start to wrap it up. Donna, I'm so glad you called. I think this is a fabulous question there.
Thank you, Catherine, for taking the call. Thank you, Roger. That was great. I get the distinction with anxiety. Yeah.
I would say it's ongoing for myself. This is something that I work on myself constantly, the fear versus anxiety. And I think something about the story that you're saying is part of the clue.
Well, I would say that terror is the cure for anxiety.
Terror is the cure for anxiety. Okay.
If you allow yourself to feel terror, then you don't have to feel anxiety.
Donna, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, and Roger, just last words. We ready? How do you want to finish?
Well, I want to do a plug for a class I'm teaching January 14th, where it's you can find out about it by going to www.jewishspirituality.org. All are welcome, but it's a class on the book, and it's sponsored by a Jewish meditation group. And then, just stay in touch, everybody, and you can reach me by my website or
Kamenetz.com, Kamenetz, Kamenetz.com.
No, it's 8 letters, KAMENETZ.com.
Thank you.
And it's a hard name. I wish I had Bell.
It's easy to spell, but it's a duplicate. And another place is howimagesheal.com, easier to remember about the blessing practice.
Right.
So thank you so much, Roger. This has really been a treat. Take care of yourself.
Will do. Thanks, Kat.
Okay, thanks. And thank you all for listening. The Dream Journal is produced at the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz. And we are live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific at ksqd.org. The podcast is released on the Monday after the show. It spreads interest in dreaming when you subscribe, rate, review, and share. I am Catherine Bell. You can find out about my dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com. You can email me at catherine@ksqd.org. Follow Experiential Dreamwork and hashtag The Dream Journal on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to keep up with the shows. I'd like to thank Rick Kleffel, Suki Wessling, Eric Nelson. Intro and outro pieces are both by Mood Science. And tomorrow morning when you wake up, take a minute to write down your dream and bring it to the next Dream Journal.
There's a time in our land. All the husbands and wives, all the boys and the girls, and everyone in the world knows that so much is wrong, but much more